Today we're in the Calico Basin, just outside of Las Vegas, just west of Las Vegas. Calico Basin is the last stop before Red Rock Canyon. It's a right turn off the highway, and the goal today is to explore the south and possibly the east side of Damsel Peak, looking for an approach to the summit, the south or the east summit of Damsel Peak. You can see on LasVegasAreaTrails.com where earlier we made the north summit of Damsel Peak. We're at a parking area just at the base of Kraft Mountain. So actually you're not looking at Damsel Peak here, you're looking at Kraft Mountain. What we're going to do is skirt the south side of Kraft Mountain. We're heading east, and we're going to continue east until we get to the next basin, which is Brownstone Basin. That's where we're going to head toward Damsel Peak and look at various approaches. So here we go. Kraft Mountain is a very popular destination for hikers and climbers. This is the beginning of the Kraft Mountain Loop, and we're going to start out on the Kraft Mountain Loop. We're going to head along the southern side of Kraft Mountain on this loop. The loop is about 5 miles, and I've got a couple videos on LasVegasAreaTrails.com describing the loop and just documenting by video the adventure of circling Kraft Mountain. There's a lot of great hiking. If you're a runner, you can run the loop, and there are a few spots that you'll do some really light climbing, but it's just an awesome loop. It makes a great daily workout. But you'll also notice that there are some huge boulders around Kraft Mountain. These fell from above, and you just don't want to be around here when boulders are falling. This one's the size of a house. But you'll notice some chalk marks on the boulder. These marks are evidence of bouldering. Bouldering is a sport, very popular sport, where climbers practice climbing vertical walls. And you'll notice that this wall is not only vertical, but it's leaning outward, which means that makes it very, very difficult. So boulders will carry a huge mattress on their back, set the mattress down at the base of the boulder, and then scale the boulder with the idea that at some point they'll be able to scale larger vertical areas, not only in Calico Basin, but Red Rock, in the Rainbow Mountains, a lot of Jurassic sandstone. So anyway, yeah, you're going to see a lot of boulders along the south side of Kraft Mountain, and each one is its own destination for those who love the sport of bouldering. Okay, onward. I want you to notice the awesome nature of this trail. It is a perfect running trail, and there's a whole series, a network of trails in the Calico Basin that would make excellent daily workouts. And somebody has taken the trouble to line this entire trail with rocks. That's a lot of work, but keeps people on the trail, makes the trail better and better every time someone walks over it. So yeah, whether you're hiking or running, this network of trails throughout the Calico Basin is an awesome daily workout. And you can see more boulders. Each of these boulders is the size of a small house, and every boulder has a little trail leading to it, and you can see the white chalk marks on the boulders. Each of these boulders is a destination for those who enjoy the sport of bouldering. And you see there's just a whole field of huge boulders that once fell from the cliffs above on Kraft Mountain. No one out here right now because it's a Sunday morning at about 7:30, but I'm sure that by 10 o'clock there will be climbers on all these boulders, and maybe on the way back we'll see a few. So onward along the Kraft Mountain Loop. Here's a huge boulder for those who want to practice climbing upside down. You see the chalk marks. It doesn't even look possible. Now I've got a video on LasVegasAreaTrails.com where I filmed climbers on the east side of Rainbow Mountain. Vertical cliffs. Looks impossible. But there they are. They probably started on boulders like this. And what do you know? Here's the well-marked crossover route to cross this huge wash on the east side of Kraft Mountain. And you see where the trail crosses and continues on. Just giving you an idea where we are. The Kraft Mountain Loop continues in this direction, rounding Kraft Mountain. Here is the southeast side of Kraft Mountain. And here's the Kraft Mountain Loop again. The huge wash. And the crossover trail. And by the way, from here you can see a portion of the Las Vegas Strip. And having just crossed that huge wash, very easy. Trail gets you right across. I'm looking up around the east side of Kraft Mountain, and guess what we see through the canyon? We're looking at Turtlehead Peak. And there's an adventure on Las Vegas Area Trails where we take this canyon all the way to Turtlehead Peak and around. And this canyon is called Gateway Canyon. And Gateway Canyon is characterized by a whole lot of near vertical pour-overs which are vertical walls of rock where the water pours over as it's racing down the canyon during heavy rains. And so there are ways to get all the way up Gateway Canyon without anything more than, class 2, maybe a little light class 3 climbing. And I show that on the Gateway Canyon portion of LasVegasAreaTrails.com. But for now, we're continuing east on this trail and on the trail system. And our goal is to round this red rock outcrop and then head north toward Damsel Peak. Okay, our goal is to head toward the strip in Las Vegas, and the reason is we want to hit a low point, cross a low point in this ridge system ahead, and you can see where there's a little trail that gets you right through that low point, strip in the background, and it's part of this well-marked, awesome trail system for hiking, for running. It's just beautiful. And this one is called Jeans. So Jeans Loop, Jeans Trail, we don't know. But there we're looking back on Kraft Mountain. Runners down below demonstrating how great it is. Take their dog with them. How great it is to run around the Kraft Mountain Loop. Let's see what else we can see here. Southeast corner of Kraft Mountain. But in the distance now, we're looking at, I believe this is a portion of Buffalo Wall in the Rainbow Mountains, or right in that area. And then here you have Rainbow Mountain, spoke about it just a bit ago. Nope, that's not Rainbow Mountain. That is Bridge Mountain. Yes. Okay. The reason I knew that wasn't Rainbow Mountain is because this next one is Rainbow Mountain. You can see Rainbow Mountain on the left and Rainbow Wall, that vertical wall on the right. And then over here, Mount Wilson, all in the Rainbow Mountains on the far side of Red Rock Canyon. And then here's the southern portion of the Rainbow Mountains. And Potosi Mountain. Video documentation and adventures for all of these places on LasVegasAreaTrails.com, including Blue Diamond Hill. Another awesome area for workouts. So close to Las Vegas. Such a great trail system all over the place here. Okay, let's continue heading toward the strip for now on Jeans Trail. Okay, here's Jeans Loop or Jeans Trail, whatever it is. But the point I'm making is that, yeah, you can see the awesome trail system. There's Kraft Mountain. There's a sign for Jeans Trail. Now, one thing I've noticed is that everywhere there's power lines, it's pretty logical. There is a maintenance road along the power lines. And that maintenance road looks like it's leading right through the ridge opening that we need. Now you may wonder why we're taking this long approach to Damsel Peak. Because, even though there are some shorter approaches on the east side of Damsel Peak, maybe Far Hills Avenue, Charleston Avenue, or Boulevard, the issue is that there's so much construction over there. You never know where you're going to be able to legally park, and if the place you park is going to be available next time you're in the area. So I want to make this, even though it's longer, I want to make this an approach that is going to last. So even if you see this in a number of years, this approach should still get you to the base of Damsel Peak. And as soon as we pass through that lower point in the ridge system, we'll look to the left and we'll see Damsel Peak. And by the way, yeah, looking up through here, you can actually see the stratosphere on the Vegas Strip, or I guess north of the Strip. Okay, now we're at the top of that low point in the ridge that we were looking at a moment ago. And you can see the power line maintenance road stretching ahead back toward Kraft Mountain. And here's Kraft Mountain, where we started. Here are the Rainbow Mountains. On the west side of Red Rock Canyon. And here's Blue Diamond Hill. Over this way, you can see where if they continued Charleston Boulevard, it would be right along this maintenance road, because there's Charleston Boulevard. Red Rock Casino. Here's some gun ranges in the distance, mostly down in this area. No target shooting where we are right now. Yeah, Las Vegas Strip. And actually you can see Mount Wilson, that little pointy peak. That's Mount Wilson in Arizona. By the way, I've got a few adventures in that area too. Frenchman Mountain. Muddy Mountains. And then guess what? Over in this direction looking north is Damsel Peak. And wow, that south side looks mighty steep. I may divert to the east side, I don't know. But I can say that this route that we've taken, by the way, there's the La Madre Mountains. Turtlehead Peak. Back to Kraft Mountain. And I'm just not sure about that south side of Damsel Peak. Like I said, very steep, loose rock. I may go around to the east side of Damsel Peak, around to the right, circle around. I don't know. We'll just have to see what things look like up there. I do see what could be an approach canyon right in this area, more gradual. Take you right up to the north side of Damsel Peak, and then we could head back over to the south side just to complete Damsel Peak. But I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I can say that this approach, though it's a bit out of the way, has been very rapid. It's only an hour to get to this point, and now I'm going to begin heading cross country. It'll slow me down a bit, but we want to head up to the canyon that's going to take us to Damsel Peak, and maybe we'll find a road in that canyon. That would be awesome. Speed things up to get to the base of Damsel Peak. Okay, yeah, I came across some trails. I guess I didn't need to do the cross country thing, but actually it was very fast, and I think I'm still on a pretty good streamlined route. There you can see there's another ridge ahead, and I believe over that ridge we're going to find a road, or maybe before the ridge. I think it's going to be on the other side, and that road will lead up toward Damsel Peak. I'm liking this eastern gully approach, and that may be the one we take today, but we'll cover the whole of the summit of Damsel Peak. At least that's the intent. We'll see what actually happens. And then more of the La Madre Mountains coming into view. And I believe that's La Madre Mountain on the left, or no, on the right, and El Padre Mountain on the left. Not totally sure, but that's my best guess right now. And by the way, there are adventures on LasVegasAreaTrails.com that get you to the summit of La Madre Mountain and El Padre Mountain. Okay, onward. Let's see if we can find a little road. Here's a nice little wash and sort of a four-wheel drive road I just came across leading to Damsel Peak, and I guess I could take this, but I want to go over the next ridge to see if I can find something even better. And then looking down, it's always good to look down and see where you might be able to find a quicker approach. Although I really like this approach that I've taken. Secure parking area. You can count on it in the future at the base of Kraft Mountain trailhead area. And a very streamlined approach so far toward Damsel Peak. You run, walk, get you there pretty quickly. So far it's been about an hour, 15 minutes from the start. And here we are looking up Brownstone Basin, and you can see quite a tall ridge system here in the Calico Basin. That would be probably on the east side of the Calico Basin, between Calico and Brownstone Basins. We want to go up there at some point. Looks fun. Okay. Continuing over this ridge. See if we find a nice streamlined road that'll take us right over to what looks like an awesome approach gully to the summit of Damsel Peak. We'll see. When you get closer, things can look a lot different. Okay, here over that last ridge is an actual road. It's, I guess if you could call it that, but yeah, unpaved, looks pretty level, and it looks like there are some points up ahead here where one can cross over the next ridge on a very nice surface. So we're going to head up this road for a little bit. It circles around a bit, but our goal is to head right toward that gully on the east side, southeast side of Damsel Peak, and just see what we're going to face up there. And then looking down, yeah, if you parked at the base of Charleston Avenue, or just a little bit up Blue Diamond Road, which is the extension of Charleston Road, you see this large reservoir. There is parking down there. I don't like how exposed it is to the roads. There's Red Rock Casino, so you can kind of get your bearings. Behind it, the Las Vegas Strip. You recognize some of those buildings. And definitely the stratosphere right in the center. So yeah, there's parking down there. Maybe more direct, but I just am not excited about parking down there exposed to the roads in a unmarked lot or wide spot on Blue Diamond Road. So yeah, let's continue over, and the goal is now crossing the next ridge right around that area. Maybe we can find roads that'll streamline this next stretch. Okay, best road yet. This is an actual road, but I think I want to make a beeline straight to that southeastern gully area at the base of Damsel Peak. And here's something else that's come into view. You see the Jurassic red rock below. That's an area called Little Red Rock. And we've explored that area on Las Vegas area trails. Very beautiful. A lot of private land there. So parking and getting to that point is not the easiest thing, but you can see the video on Las Vegas area trails, and I'm sure that, yeah, and there's a little road, but I think that's a private road. And here, across the way, we're looking at Summerland Ridge. And then just to complete the circuit here, Now you can see some of the new development as Las Vegas is reaching out west toward Red Rock Canyon. Then over to Blue Diamond Hill, and now we can see Potosi Mountain. Got a number of adventures on Potosi Mountain. And then here are the Rainbow Mountains. And there's a ridge line, Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridge Line, that actually traverses the length of the Rainbow Mountains, above the Rainbow Mountains, and just a little bit behind that darker rock that you see. And I've got the entire Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridge Line on LasVegasAreaTrails.com video documentation. Okay, so let's just continue making a beeline toward this gully on the southeastern side of Damsel Peak. And by the way, if you're thinking of taking one of these many roads that lead in this direction, and there's Damsel Peak, I'm continuing the straight line. But if you're thinking of taking these roads and they look, it's pretty easy, it's pretty level, just take note, here's a tire boneyard. Somebody who had attempted this and decided, I cannot continue with these older tires. Probably a lot of spinning on this loose gravel. Okay, let's continue to Damsel Peak. Okay, I've crossed about 5 ridges now. Not too difficult. Here's another road. Always interested in where they lead down toward. And it looks like this one might lead down toward the Far Hills area. I think this area is Far Hills. And yeah, maybe you can find a place to park there, but with all the development occurring, that place will not be around in the next couple of years. So yeah, there's Summerlin Ridge. And here's Damsel Peak, that gully we're heading toward. And this may be the last larger ridge. They're not too tall. So yeah, heading up toward Damsel Peak. There are the La Madre Mountains. And you see all the roads that I've seen so far lead up the Brownstone Basin to the upper Calico Basin. And there's that really cool ridge system. You can see Turtle Head Peak. There's the little known east side of Turtle Head Peak that we're looking at, well, southeast. And then back toward Kraft Mountain, which you can see just the tip of Kraft Mountain. So yeah, we've come a long way, but it's been fairly streamlined. Potosi Mountain, Blue Diamond Hill. So yeah, a lot is visible from this point. So let's continue making our beeline There's Little Red Rock, by the way. A lot of private roads leading to that area. Don't know how open they are at this point. Changes almost every few months. And there's Damsel Peak. Let's continue on. As we close in on Damsel Peak, let's take a look at the gully that I'm aiming for. Begins right down here on the east side. You can see a landmark here, this little, it's pretty tall ridge just south of Damsel Peak. And by the way, there's Turtlehead Peak. Okay, but what we're going to shoot for, let's get back to Damsel Peak, is heading up this gully right up through what looks like an opening up there, although no guarantees. That should land us near the north side of Damsel Peak. And what we're looking at is traversing over to the south side. Now that's if we have the time to do all that. It's only 8 days from Christmas, third week in December today. And we just don't know how much time we're going to have based on the light, but let's continue on. And by the way, here's a closer view of Little Red Rock. Like I said, a lot of private land there. I think it's owned by the Hughes Corporation. And a lot of the access to this area is blocked off. But actually a close approach would be from the upper end of Lake Mead, but we just don't know what the parking situation is. So much construction has occurred down there. But if you can find parking at the base of Summerlin Ridge, you can see how you might be able to vastly shorten this traverse that we've made today. Another little unmarked road. I don't know how many of these roads I've crossed. I want to head up that road to that ridge ahead and then see about heading over to the gully of choice up here. I could go through the wash below. Looks like it curves around a whole lot, and who knows how slow going it is in the wash. You can't see around you. So yeah, I'm going to head up to the top of this next ridge, maybe 2 ridges over. Yeah, because I see the road continues over there. And then take the ridge line, that second ridge, over to our gully. Here we go. Okay, continuing toward our approach gully. Getting closer. But I just wanted to note, we've reached the outskirts of Little Red Rock. See the Jurassic rock slabs that we are traversing right now. The thing about Little Red Rock is that this Jurassic sandstone pops up in little clumps throughout. So we'll see a little more of it as we go onward. Well, I don't know how many ridges I've crossed so far. along the way seem to be going against the grain. But I think we're looking at the last ridge right ahead that's going to take us all the way to where that gully begins. So let's go ahead and take that one more ridge and gully to cross, and we should be on the last ridge. We'll see. Now, how this got up here in the middle of nowhere is a real mystery. It's like the front bumper, someone's car, and then there's another little artifact up further. There it is. So yeah, now we're looking at history, and we are on the ridge that's going to get us up to that gully up ahead. But yes, finding some interesting little artifacts. There's the southeast side of Damsel Peak, and you can see both the north and the south peak. And then just looking around, where are we? Like I said, we've crossed countless ridges to get here, going against the grain. On the way back, I'll try to streamline things. Need to make it faster so we don't run out of light. Oh my gosh, look at this. Yeah, that vehicle met a violent demise up here at the base of Damsel Peak. And here, let's take a look at Little Red Rock from this perspective. And there's Summerland Ridge. And then back to Damsel Peak. You may not have seen Damsel Peak from this perspective before, but here you have it. I can see someone saying, yeah, I can drive my pickup through this terrain. Well, look what happened. Wonder if there's a license plate down here. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, we've got a Toyota V6. No license plate, unfortunately. So yeah, don't drive your Toyota V6 in this terrain, or this is what it's gonna look like. Okay, as I pointed out, the roads keep appearing and disappearing. Now we're following this little forsaken road that has already taken the life of a Toyota V6 up toward our gully ahead. Okay, as you can see, we've ascended into the gully now, and the terrain is getting a lot more challenging. I do see a cairn. That's always a good sign. Someone passed this way before. But wow, it looks like there's some potentially vertical sections in the gully up ahead. We don't know. I think I'm going to stay in the gully. Maybe we can make it up to that point. That's on the summit. And for those of you who know about Damsel Peak in the south side, there's a pinnacle. Here's a look at that pinnacle from a very different perspective than you've probably ever seen before. The east side of that summit pinnacle. And that's basically, you get up to that summit pinnacle and you are on the south summit of Damsel Peak. So yeah, the most challenging part is yet to come. So we'll see about navigating this gully. A lot of boulders to navigate around, and then it gets steeper as you ascend. But let's keep on going, see what things look like further ahead. And by the way, just to give you an idea of how far we have ascended at this point, we're about 1,500 feet below the summit. And let's look down this canyon, and wow, look at the beautiful, beautiful sculpted juniper. And here's looking down. There's a juniper that did not make it. And below, Red Rock Casino. Okay, let's continue up. Okay, now we're faced with three choices. We could continue up the gully. Things are looking a little bit rocky and slanted as you head upward, but possible. On the other hand, we could head up this direction and then up toward the pinnacle. A lot of vertical area up there, but there may be a way around. Like I said, once you get at the pinnacle, you're at the summit. Or we could head up this direction. So maybe they'll all lead to the summit. Maybe only one out of three leads to a summit route, where the other two lead to dead ends. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head up this ridge now and head toward the pinnacle and just see what things look like up there. If I reach a barrier, then that's the end of today's adventure. There's that pinnacle, and here's the ridge leading up to it. Looks fairly gradual till you get close to the pinnacle. So who knows? Let's go ahead and try it and then complete the 360-degree. Beautiful little gully here. Pines, junipers, sage, yucca, and probably 1,000 other plants I cannot name. It's a lot of cacti. But yeah, it is a beautiful little gully. Okay, let's head on up this direction and see where things lead. Yeah, this little side gully has a nice natural incline to it, sort of gradual. not a lot of loose rock. At least you can find places where you can be on firm rock. My policy in situations like this is never put your full weight on any one rock, because if one of these big rocks fell on top of you, that would be the end. Okay, and you can see down into the Las Vegas Valley. There's the strip. And here is the little side gully that I've ascended, or I'm in the process of ascending. You see a lot of vertical walls on the other side of the main gully. And this is looking more friendly, but we don't know how far it's going to go and if we're going to reach a dead end, but we'll go as far as we can. Okay, I've been thinking a lot about this. I want to tackle the question, is it easier to go up, to climb up, or to climb down? And I think I've got an answer. If you're on class 2, even light class 3 terrain, it's easier coming down than going up because you can always lower yourself over obstacles. On the other hand, class 4, class 5, I bet it's easier ascending than descending. So that's my wisdom on, is it easier to climb up or to climb down? And as I mentioned, it all depends on what class of climbing you're doing. And of course, this is all class 2, class 3 terrain, easier climbing down, I believe. But if it gets a little more vertical, then no. All bets are off, and it's probably easier going up, and you could get trapped and get up to a point and not be able to turn around and head back down. So that's my wisdom on an age-old question. Well, we're closing in on my turnaround point. Well, let's do a 360. I may get a little higher. I don't know. There is the pinnacle on the south summit of Damsel Peak. So we'll go up this hill right ahead. It's leveled off a bit after what we've just come up. And maybe we'll see if there's a route to the pinnacle. That'd be nice. And then here, panning around, you can see, yeah, that gully, had I stayed in the gully, it looks like it could continue all the way up. So remember, there were 3 possibilities. I'm on one of them. The gully is the second one. The north side of this main gully below, I don't know. That was the third option. That's not looking too great. So we'll just see how this works. And looking down, it's always good to have some kind of reference that this little chute I can descend, and I know where it is, so I don't end up at a vertical drop off on the way down. That would not be fun. And you see this tree down here. That tree is my reference point. I think I'm going to put a cairn where I'm standing right now, so that I can get to this point where I can see the tree. And then, wow, let's look out further. We're way up there. Okay, let's just go from left to right. Muddy mountains. Frenchman Mountain. And Sunrise Mountain just to the left of Frenchman Mountain. A little further. This is not the best place to stand. I'll tell you that. Okay, a little further, and you can see in the distance that pointy peak is Mount Wilson in Arizona. There's a couple adventures on Mount Wilson on Las Vegas area trails and every other place that I pointed out. And there below us is the Las Vegas Strip. Let's go from south to north. Las Vegas Strip. Stratosphere. Yeah, it's nice. The sun's coming out. Yeah, I love the sparse plants. What pictures as you look over this ridge, this little juniper just hanging on there, living out its life in the midst of everything that we experience in the past, I don't know, 50 years or more. Red Rock Casino. Let's see if we can nail that. There you go. Red Rock Casino. And then, yeah, you can see the western part of Las Vegas here, the growth edge. And yeah, pull up this video in 20 years. Compare it to what things look like at that time in the future. The growth edge is just continually extending, and I'd almost bet that that growth edge is going to encompass this entire valley below us. And speaking of below, look straight down into Little Red Rock. As I mentioned, we've got adventures down there, walking among those Jurassic red rock. So there you have it. Let's continue upward, see if we get a better view just beyond this before we have to turn around. And now under the heading Closer Approaches. There is the upper end of Lake Mead. There we go, right down there. But where can you park? You're likely to hit some gated communities and construction areas. And then over here, this is kind of interesting. I think this might be the Far Hills Avenue area. Again, construction, gated communities, things likely to be a lot different in the months and years to come. Be nice if they put a park down there. That'd be a great spot, great jumping off point. I shouldn't use that phrase from where I'm sitting right now. Okay, so um, those are some options for closer approaches, but like I said, the parking is unsure and constantly changing. So I still go by the Kraft Mountain parking area, which will be there for a long, long time to come. Okay, from this perspective, let's take a closer look at Las Vegas. See if you can recognize where you live. Now, for reference, there's Frenchman Mountain. And you'll see three roads, one leading toward the center of Frenchman Mountain. That's the road on the right, the road in the center, the one on the left. The one on the right is Lake Mead. The one in the center, I think, would be Cheyenne. The one on the left might be Craig. Not totally sure, but that's my best guess right now. So let's just take a closer look down here. You're looking down into Las Vegas. There's the strip. Summerland area below. Can you pick out where you live? And again, come back 10, 20 years from now, and the landscape will have dramatically changed as the metropolitan boundary of Las Vegas is pushed out. There's the larger picture. Snapshot in time. one of America's most rapidly growing cities. And here's my little cairn halfway up the southeastern slope of Damsel Peak. That's going to guide me back down. Okay, here we are at the turnaround point. Loose rock edge over a sheer drop off. And I think this would lead up to that pinnacle. Not sure. And we're out of time to test it out. But in the meantime, yeah, here's a high view. And now you can see Blue Diamond Hill. It is about the best view that we're going to be able to get today. And you can see that more level area below, which very well could be the next extension of the urban growth boundary. Las Vegas Strip. Frenchman Mountain in the background. Looks like a camel hump. Yeah, there it is. Two summits. Muddy mountains in the distance. So there you have it. Southeast slope of Damsel Peak. That was a pretty good approach that we took. Little red rock. Okay, it's time to head down. This could be an approach to the summit. It's a little shaky up in this spot. We might try the gully next time. And on the way back down, here are some landmarks to guide my way. There's that cairn. And then looking down further, I can recognize the tree way below in the gully. So those are my landmarks on the way down. Firmly established during the ascent, so I don't head down the wrong direction and end up looking over the edge of a vertical drop off. Okay, continuing on down. Well, we're back on the Toyota Killer Road, heading down a ridge. And what I'm going to do is look for the road that splits off to the right and see if I can streamline our way back to Kraft Mountain. Possibility. And it was much easier getting back down than it was ascending. In fact, I think I did it in about a third of the time with about a third of the strain. And there we are looking back up. I do like this gully, and we'll probably return here and take the center gully upward next time. It got a little crazy near the pinnacle. I was up in this area and it just was not looking real safe up there. I was above these cliffs that you see in front of the pinnacle, and possibly that route would have worked, but I'd rather live to explore another day than take chances. Anyway, yeah, southeast corner of Damsel Peak. I think it's a great summit approach, with the gully being the best possibility. And then as you look over Las Vegas, sun is shining on the strip. It's a really good views. There's Frenchman Mountain. And there's the stratosphere, north end of the strip. Wow, the lighting is awesome. So yeah, head down this road till I hit a road that splits off to the right and will take us around that ridge up ahead, the low ridge. Let's see. Yeah, it's right down in this area. Too much glare on the screen, but it's in the foreground. And as long as the lighting is so great, let's look over the strip to Mount Wilson in Arizona. That high pointy peak. Right in the center. Pretty cool. Okay. Let's head down this Toyota Killer Road and look for the right turn that'll take us across and back toward Kraft Mountain. By the way, here's the cab of that Toyota pickup, and how it got so scattered that the cab is here. One of the bumpers is about 150 feet, 200 feet up, and the trailer flatbed is way up. Yes, there is the flatbed. So how this got scattered into 3 pieces, distributed in different spots, is one of the mysteries of Calico and Brownstone Basins and the Las Vegas area. Somebody knows. Okay, 360-degree view, and there we have, that's the pinnacle we were looking at, right up here. South pinnacle of Damsel Peak. And there's our approach gully. So, yeah, and we were on that ledge above this sheer cliff. Okay, so there is a little road leading off in this direction. So we're going to hightail it back, see if we can streamline the return trip, maybe connect a bunch of roads. Here we go. Okay, looking back, there is the southern pinnacle. And we were just below that. And only a little over an hour ago. The return trip is very rapid. Just riding these ridges. Yeah, I was climbing over a lot of ridges on the way, but staying a little higher in the ridge system and angling downward, it's really smoothed the ridges out. Great shot with fantastic lighting. South side of Damsel Peak. And you can see the pinnacle up there. We're just about at that pinnacle. Maybe around this area below. I know we were above those cliffs. It's only been an hour and a half. Pretty amazing. It took me 6 hours to get to that point, and I'm already halfway back with an hour and a half. Reminds me of an argument I had with a physicist at Jet Propulsion Laboratories in Pasadena. She insisted that the return trip is always shorter in distance than the trip to a particular destination. Even if it's a straight line, it's shorter. And the argument became very intellectual at one point. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. And that's where we left it. And I imagine there's some truth to it if you're a physicist, but wow. I wouldn't understand it. Anyway, what I do understand is this trip is taking half the time to return at this point.
I mean, to be honest, like, your fall is kind of smooth. It's like, where is it? Once you have
As you can see, the bouldering people are heading home. A few holdouts still climbing boulders, but most of them taking their mattresses and heading home. And just about every available rock has its group of boulders. Well, we're just about back, so I'm going to go ahead and run it in.